Okay, let's figure out a taper. We know this is a 10-foot offset minus 4 inches and 2 inches, so 6 inches a whole foot. So in other words, we've got a, now the cylinder part of the column is going to be minus a foot, a full foot. So the cylinder portion is going to be 9 foot. Now typically in civil engineering, a taper or so is going to be over units of 10. For example, 100 or 10 or 1,000. So let's say we want a taper for this of 10 foot, which is 120. For every 10 feet, it tapers an inch. So let's go 1 inch from the bottom here. Well, maybe that ain't enough a taper. Let's hit undo, and let's come out instead 2 inches. How's that? And that's a little better. So for the most part, it's going to look slightly tapered, more cylindrical. Okay, so there's our tapered. That's the type of taper we want. Now, what I want to do now is I want to find the midpoint of this. And we know at the midpoint, it's going to be this radius here, which we decided it was going to be an 18-inch diameter. So let's move that up to here to not confuse ourselves. So let's put that right here, perpendicular or at the end point, whichever. Now, let's move our taper. This is the taper we want, 2 to 1 on a 10-foot run. Let's move that from its midpoint. Where are you? Midpoint. From its midpoint to this intersection, or the quadrant, either or. Okay, so there is our tapered edge. That is the taper we want for this column. And see, it's smaller diameter here than there. Let's mirror it over. Let's use the mirror command again. Mirror it across this line here. There it is. Now here's another good command, trim. There's 2 ways to trim things. If I pick this line and then hit enter with the right mouse click, I can trim anything beyond that line. See that? Or if I hit trim again and I right click again real quick, I can trim anything I see that I want to trim. Let's trim this and this. Now we can select these. Whoop. We can select this and this. Hit delete on the keyboard or hit erase. Okay. Now does that look like a taper to me? Pretty much. Except if I forgot something. I forgot this rounded edge. Whoop. I forgot this round to it. So let's mirror that across the top here. There we go. Now let's trim these 2 little spots out. So does that look more like a column? Yeah, it sure does. I like that. So that's some basic geometric construction. Pretty simple, straightforward. Now we've got our basic layout of our column. Let me, we're going to detail and dimension this now. So let me copy this out into space. There we go. And let's make sure it's all boxed in here. There's it. And there is... You can always zoom in if you got a scroll wheel on your mouse too. You can always zoom in. If you want to pan, just press the scroll wheel. If you want to pan and scroll in and out, you get really crazy. Okay, on to the next lesson.